Hey guys, welcome to a live session of Ask Auntie Nella. I'm gonna wait for a couple of you guys to log on, and while you guys are logging on, make sure you share that Ask Auntie Nella is on live. Make sure you add a friend, invite a friend. I will accept them as soon as it comes through on the page. So tonight's topic is going to be when enough is enough. I think it's a good topic for us to, touch bases on. Basically, because a lot of times what happens in life is each person or each individual may think,
hey,
my enough is not enough, or your enough is not enough. So at that point, I just want to just touch bases to, just share some things with you guys to know when enough is enough. And then after dark is sex. So we're going to talk about a little bit of everything for after dark, but tune in so we get a few more viewers on here. We'll get to getting and get to chatting a little bit. Don't forget to go to my YouTube page. Go to my YouTube page and subscribe to the YouTube page, because at some point coming in the new year, I'm going to transition on to YouTube only. I'm not going to do live. So make sure you tune in. Hey guys who all jumped on. Happy cold, freezing Monday in Minnesota. I don't know what everybody else's temperatures look like in the states they're in, but in Minnesota it's cold with a little snow. We got some snow last night. So I'm going to wait for you guys to jump on. I can't wait to chat about this topic because I think it's going to be a really, really, really good topic. And I think we definitely need to touch bases on this topic, is because, sometimes people just don't know what enough is. They'll continue to, allow stuff to happen, but you got to know when enough is enough. And today I'm going to give you some pointers so you'll know within yourself when enough is enough. So, do we got enough to just jump in?
Hey, Melanie.
Hey. So, I'm going to just jump in and chat about this when enough is enough. One of the things I'm going to start off and say is this. When you would know when enough is enough, you as an individual would know. So, my enough is enough may be you cheated on me one time and I'm exiting. The next person may be like, I'm going to give you a second chance. I'm going to give you a third chance. I'm going to give you a fourth chance. So you can often, or a person can often say, my enough is your enough. Because it's not. Everybody's enough is a different. You have to know that. One of the things I will say is, it's important and it's key for you to know. Going into a relationship, set your boundaries. And what I mean by that is, setting your boundaries is knowing what you're going to take and what you're not going to take. Because if you go into that relationship blindly, or if you go into that relationship and then let's say 2-3 months down the line after you fell in love, or 6 months or a year or 2, 5 years down the line, you fell in love, deeply in love, you're hindering yourself. And the reason why you're hindering yourself is because now your bottom line of what you're going to take is going to be wishy-washy. And what I mean by that is simply because now you're deeply in love with that person. So you're going to rethink some things. But if you go into it from the beginning saying, here's my bottom line, I'm only going to take this, I'm only going to take that, then at that point, when the situation or the issue arises, you've already at this point hit your bottom line and you know what you can take. Another thing I will tell you is, never let somebody else come and tell you when your enough is enough. Don't let somebody be talking that foolishness in your ear and telling you, oh girl, you know what? You need to let him go. You need to be done with him. Why he's... Because let me tell you something. That same person who feeding that bull crap in your ear is the same person going to do the whole situation a whole lot different. And what I mean by that is, your man probably messed up. And you probably like, I just can't, deal with this. And I'm just done with him, because you're going through your emotions at the time. All you want is a girlfriend there with a shoulder to lean on and to cry on, to explain to them, hey, I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. You don't need somebody in your ear talking about, nope, you need to leave him. Girl, you crazy. If you got a friend like that, you need to exit them out the left door. Out the left side door. Because at the end of the day, what happens is they don't value. If you don't have a friend where you're going through a crisis and you're trying to figure stuff out, and all that friend doing is pouring in negativity into your ear, then that's not a friend. Because no friend wants to truly see their friend hurt. So my goal would be, if my friend comes to me and say, you know what, Auntie Nella, I'm going through some stuff. You know what? He cheated on me. He did me wrong. You know, blah, blah. My first response to that person is to console that person. My second response to them is, don't blame yourself. When a man or a woman do what they do, whether it's whatever they decide to do, in a sense of, at that point, you can't take and blame yourself. It has nothing to do with you. I mean, nothing to do with you. It has all to do with them. Let them own that. Don't take their mistakes and own it and let you think, well, oh, it's my fault that he went out and cheated. Well, it's because, you know, I wasn't cooking. Well, it's because I wasn't doing this. Well, because I wasn't fulfilling everything. There might have been mistakes on your end that you made, that he may feel like, or she may feel like contribute to her or him doing what they're doing. At the end of the day, that's an act that they had to act upon. They had to do it. They should have been man or woman to come to you and say, hey, I'm struggling here. You know what? You're not fulfilling my needs. What we gonna do? They should have at least given you that option to fix it. Because if you don't know that you're doing something wrong or you're not completing them whole, then how do you fix it? So never own somebody else's mistakes. Allow them to own their own mistakes. And then once they own their own mistakes, you can decide at that point, what's your next step? Do you want to move on? Do you want to give them another try? Am I done? But here's the big thing you have to do. You have to be clear in whatever you decide to do. And what I mean by clear is, if you decide to leave them, you got to be clear. So you can't play that game is, I'm leaving you today and we're going to have sex next week. No, you're not setting yourself up.
We have a comment from Cardell. But what if that friend is truly trying to help? Hold on. But what if that friend is truly trying to help their friend see something that person in a crisis can't see?
And that's okay if you're trying to, you know, help that friend see it. But here's the situation. At that moment in time, that friend don't want to hear that gibberish. She really don't. What that friend is doing at the time is, she's sharing information with you for you to console her. There's going to be a point in time where you get to share some stuff. But right now, her mind's so foggy and her head's so messed up, she don't got time to even think that what you're telling her means value to her. So it's better to go at it and console her at that point. And then maybe the next meeting or the next conversation, then you can be honest and say, you know what, let's just look at it from a different angle. Or here's what I'm seeing. You know what I'm saying? Or here's what I heard. Or here's what's going on. But to have your friend come to you and is hurting and to share with you what they're hurting about, and all you gonna say is almost that moment of I told you so in their ear, that's not helping the situation. That's not helping the situation. So it's always a way that you can console them, but also later on to share. Because when you're trying to share with them at that time they're hurting, I'll be honest with you, they're not listening to you because they're hurting. They're not listening at all. They're hurting. They want somebody to listen to them and be able to share with them the issues that they're going through. The issue is, when you decide enough is enough, there's people who get walked over and walked over and walked over and walked over and walked over. My mindset is, enough would have been that first time. But some people have a different vision of enough. And so their vision may be a little bit different than my enough is. And so I always tell people, don't judge your friend or don't judge your boy because he decided to, you know, stay with his girl because she messed over him 2 or 3 times. That's their situation. Everybody loves different. And sometimes people can forgive. You know, if you choose to forgive them and move forward, and they do it again, and you choose to forgive them and move forward and they do it again, that's something that person has to realize. But what I will tell you is, when you're tired, baby, and you done had enough, you gonna know when the time comes. I don't care what he or she spitting at you. I don't care what he or she giving you. I don't care what he or she trying to sell in your ear. I don't care what they telling you. You gonna know, and you gonna be like, you know what? This ain't real. I'm exiting the room. I'm done. I'm done with this situation. So you just have to set yourself up to know that going into it, what's my rock bottom for enough? Not what the next person's rock bottom is for enough, but what my rock bottom. You can't mirror your life with my life. I can't mirror my life with your life.
We got a comment from Melanie. Enough. That's why it's imperative to not share with everyone.
Absolutely. It's important because if you're not done, that's a good point. Because here's the important thing. If you're not done with your mate, whether it's male or female, and you share with, let's say, your family members, or family members are notorious for this. You share with them, oh, he did me this, he did. Let me tell you, your family love you. So what will happen is, now you and your boo-boo done got back together. You and your husband, fine and dandy, y'all back together, kicking it, trying to live life and be normal, because now you've decided, I'm going to forgive him. I'm going to give him another chance. So now you've given him another chance, but now your family is still holding that grudge. So your family walking around, cutting corners, looking at him, trying to see what he's doing, trying to see who he's texting on the phone, all kind of stuff. Family members will do that simply because they have a vested interest in you. And so they want to make sure you're not hurt. So that's why it's important. You want to make sure you don't make a decision out of anger. You make a decision that's right for you. Because when you make a decision out of anger and you're mad and you're spitting out venom and you're sharing with your girl and your boy, I don't want them, and then you and him or her decide to have a conversation and both of y'all decide, you know what, we'll let bygones be bygones. It wasn't that bad, so let's try and squash it. Well, now you got all these other people involved, so now you can't go around because they side-eyeing him or they telling you how stupid you are because you made that decision. Make your decision for you.
All right. Melanie wrote, yes, family is notorious for looking at your loved one sideways. Cardell wrote, now you're looking stupid. Come on.
Correct. And that's what you don't want to do. You don't ever want to do. One thing, my motto was always, when I had an issue with my husband, it was contained in my home. Like, I never went out and ran around and told people, well, here's what's going on, blah, blah, blah. The other flip side to me is, too, when people came to me to share, their issues or their concern, and I was a shoulder to cry on, I never was one to say, leave your husband. I never was that person. Or leave your boy, or you shouldn't give him. No, that's the decision that you have to make. You have to make it for you, and you have to know what's your rock bottom. Don't let boo-boo kitty get up in your ear and be telling you that mess, because let me tell you something. Sometimes people will stand next to you and wait for you to fail. And once you fail, they come right along and they done picked up your Mr. Right. And so because they've picked up your Mr. Right, now you've set yourself up. Because you listen to them, and now your heartache is, I've lost my Mr. Right for somebody else to come along and take him. Mr. Cleanup or Mrs. Cleanup woman or man.
And Melanie wrote, yes, looking real stupid. And you really ain't told the truth.
Yep, 100%. And so involving so many people in your situation, involving so many people in your marriage, that's not cool. Because at the end of the day, when you walk down the aisle, and you stood before your pastor, your church, and God, and committed with your vows, you didn't commit with your vows, your family members, you and your husband. No, it was you, your husband, and God. And so at that point, it needs to be, if you're having an issue, don't go around, feeding and adding everybody in there. Because if you do that, then what you do is you completely set yourself up. You set yourself up for failure. You set yourself up for heartache. And so that's the thing that's not key. That's not cool, because I'm telling you, you're going to be hurt through the whole process. And being hurt through the whole process is going to hurt you. So I will say this. When that point comes in time, when you done had enough, and I mean enough, you gonna say, you know what, I've had enough. I already know my heart have hurt so bad it can't hurt no more. And to me, what enough is when you don't cry so much in your life and you can't even drop a tear no more because they done hurt you so bad. At that point, enough is enough. When you can't shed a tear for being hurt, you done had enough. And so I'm going to say to you, know your rock bottom. Know where you're going to go, what you're going to do before you get into it. Know it. And set yourself up to make sure of that. Don't involve your family members in it. Find you a sister. Find you somebody that you could, lean on and share with them. That, the support is going to be real. You know that support is going to be real. But if you find somebody who's in your circle, and people will be in your circle, that's waiting for the demise of your marriage or your relationship, then what you're doing is, again, you're setting yourself up for failure, because you're going to take what that person is saying because you think it's value to you. Everything that come out somebody's mouth ain't always value to you. You have to take what people tell you and dissect it and think to yourself, does this make sense to my marriage? Does this make sense to my relationship? Does this make sense for me and him? Does this make sense for her and me? You have to do it that way. Don't ever take everything somebody's shooting your way. Because, baby, when I tell you, they'll shoot you some mess and you'll be sitting back thinking like, what was I thinking? I left him for that one little thing? Or I decided to move forward for that one little thing? Nah. And then guess who got him? The same person that's sitting on the side telling you all them evil things that you shouldn't do.
Cardell wrote, be honest with yourself first and live with whatever decision you decide.
Yep. And if you decide at some point, I'm going to move forward in my marriage, I'm going to forgive, own it, accept it, and move forward and let the past be the past. You can't move forward in a relationship and accept that that person have made a mistake and you're going to move forward, but you're not willing to let go. If you're not willing to let go, that's the demise of your relationship and your marriage. Because once you've said you've forgiven them and you've set your boundaries with them, you can now come back and say, you know what? I remember when, All you're doing is you're killing your vibe. You're killing it. You can't say you forgave them, but you continue to bring it up. So that's what's important. You have to make sure when you say I forgive you, you're forgiving them wholeheartedly. You've made up in your mind, whatever decision happens, I made this decision that I'm going to stay with him, and I promise you I'm not going back that way. Because if I go back that way, it's never going to be good. All it's going to do is hurt you. All it's going to do is put you back in that space, and then you're back at square one. I want to tell you that space is never a comfortable space. And you never want to put yourself in a space that was ugly at any point in your relationship or your marriage. So just make sure you know exactly what you're doing and make the decision and the choice for you. But be honest.
Tyrone wrote this good right here.
Hey, Tyrone. I'm glad you're liking it. But yeah, you have to make sure you're honest with yourself. You know what? And one of the things I will say is being key in making sure you're honest with yourself is you have to love you. You hear me talk about this a lot. You can't pour your love into a man or a woman unless you have poured all your love into you. If you love you, you're going to see bull crap coming your way before bull crap is even laid out in front of your face. You're going to know it.
Hey, Tyrone.
So you just have to make sure you know exactly who you are, you accept who you are, and you're comfortable in your own skin. Because if you're not comfortable in your own skin, I will be honest with you, you will take some stuff that you won't even realize you're taking. You will be to look 5 years down the line and think, well, I'm still in this same space I was in 5 years ago. Because you've never taken time to love you for you. You've never realized that you're important in this situation as well as they're important. But you should always be number one when it comes down to it.
Sister Michelle. Melanie wrote, love yourself.
You do. You have to love yourself wholeheartedly. That's key. And that's one of the things that I will often say is if you don't love you, then you can't pour your love into nobody else. I don't care who it is. Because then what you're doing is if you haven't poured all your love in you and your glasses half empty and you're helping pouring your love into everybody else, then by the time you look at yourself, you're empty. The other half of your glass is empty because you poured it all into somebody else. So love you and stay, make sure you're key and you're important before any of this happen. Because if you make sure that you're important and you're okay and you've done everything you can in that marriage, you've done everything you can in that relationship, you get to walk off and not have any worry in the world because you know you've did everything you can do and you've put everything you can put out there on the table. He or she chose not to accept it and pick it up and move forward and do right by it. Don't feel bad about it. Never, ever, ever blame self.
Deshana wrote, that's right. Melanie wrote, the smoke is clear. Jesus.
Yeah. You have to know once whatever decision you made, you have to be okay with accepting that decision. You have to be okay with it. If you're not okay with accepting that decision, then it clearly won't help you. It won't help you in the end, because at the end of the day, what happens is you set yourself up to be like, yep, I'm okay with this. And then you got 2, 3, 4 years left. And then you set yourself up for failure. So I'm going to say, at the end of the day, I want to leave this party note with you guys. At the end of the day, love you first. Secondary, don't make a hasty decision of exiting a relationship or a marriage without making sure that you've checked every option, your mind is clear before you make a mad decision. Because if you make a mad decision out of just with the situation of I'm mad, so I'm done with him, and once everything kind of settles, then you come back and you're like, you know what, I shouldn't have did that. That person on the other end may be like, you know what, don't worry about it. I'm done. You made that hasty decision. You didn't give me that chance, and you may not get the opportunity to fix it. So that's why I say to you, make sure you know exactly what you're doing. And I want you to repeat to yourself 3 times. I love me. I love me. I love me. First and foremost, love you and be happy with you. No, enough is enough when your enough is enough. Your enough is enough is not my enough is enough. So set your own boundaries, make your own decisions for you. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Tune into my live. I will do After Dark. And After Dark, we're going to talk about sex. So I want you guys to tune into that. Let a friend know that Auntie Nella's on After Dark. Come on and share my post. Feel free to share my post. Don't forget to like.
Melanie Rowe, I recently heard someone say, I talk to other women because you're insecure. Why do you think someone would use that as a justification for their disloyal actions?
I just think it's an excuse. It's not when they using the fact that they're talking to other people because of their wife's insecurity. Is that what they're saying? Because of their wife insecurity? Is that what the question is?
It just says, I recently heard someone say, I talk to other women because you're insecure.
And I just think that's a way, one of the things I had to learn, and I know some men going to jump all over this, but I'm just going to say it. I often find a lot of times with men don't often like to exit the relationship and be the one to make the decision to say, I'm done. So what men will do is men will find excuses to exit a relationship, but the excuses is always usually on the woman. So it's, because you did this, because you was like this, because you didn't do this. But they won't ever own the fact that that's a decision that you made and that's something you wanted to do. It has nothing to do with the fact that, my insecurities, my insecurities or my issues was the reason. No, baby. My issues wasn't a reason that ran you out into another woman's arm. You chose to run out into that other woman's arm or that other man's arm. You didn't take the time to come to me and share with me, hey, here's what I'm seeing. Here's the issues that are going on. So don't let them play you for a fool and let them make you think that you're the reason why. No, it has nothing to do with you. And that's why I tell people often, do not hold yourself hostage to somebody else's downfall or somebody else's pitfall. That's them. Let them own it. That's a conversation that they have to have within them and God. It has nothing to do with you.
Cardell wrote, that's a cop-out. That's BS. Yep. Melanie wrote, yes.
Yep. Instead of just being a man about it or a woman about it and just say, look, here's what's going on. I'm ready to move on. I think we done outgrew our marriage. I think we done outgrew our relationship. So it's time for me to move on. Instead of doing that, what they choose to do is come along and be like, I'm done, just because of insecurities you had and all this other kind of stuff, I'm done with it. No, don't listen to that foolishness. That foolishness is something that a man will use to exit a relationship. Because I can bet you 5 out of 10, that man or that woman done been dealing with that other person for a little while, but they done kept you at bay until they can figure out the situation of what they gonna do or want to do. So don't allow somebody else's situation to become yours. You didn't go out there and do nothing, so don't allow them to label you and put that X on your back. Absolutely not, brother. Absolutely not, chick.
Cordell wrote, that's a sucker move. That dude is
a major one. A major one. Because if you chose to do that, I mean, if you've exited at this point, and then to come back to me and share me that, you know, because of my insecurity. Well, you know I had insecurities when you married me, boo-boo. So don't come back now 10, 15 years down the line and talk about I moved on because of your insecurities. No, you moved on because you're weak. You moved on because you're weak and you chose to move on. It has nothing to do with me. That's something you wanted to do. So accept it, own it, and we go our separate ways.
Weak.
So with that being said, I'm going to say have a good night. I am coming back with After Dark. Like I said, it's going to be sex, 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 sex. What that means, we can talk about a little bit of everything. So come with your questions. Come back and make sure you share, like my videos. Don't forget to subscribe to YouTube. Because like I said, come 2018, we're transitioning to YouTube. No more Facebook Live. It'll just be YouTube. So I want you guys to continue to follow me. Just like you follow me on, you know, Ask Auntie Nella Live. I want you to be able to follow me on YouTube and get it. 2018 going to be a good year for us. 2018 is going to be a good year. I will keep you up to date.
Speak on it.
Let me say one thing. I will keep you up to date on, we're going to be doing our live show, our first live show on Wednesday for Woman to Woman meets Ask Auntie Nella. And our guest is going to be Tanya. She has an amazing love journey. And so she's going to share her love journey and all the bumps in the roads and the stuff that she went through to get to finding Mr. Right and the love of her life. So I will share with you guys once editing is done on that one. We'll share with you guys the channels it's going to be on, when it's going to be on. But we're going to try to, you know, tune it live as well tomorrow while we're doing it. I mean, Wednesday as well while we're doing it. So make sure you guys tune in. So if you see something pop up on Wednesday live, know that's Woman to Woman meets Ask Auntie Nella. All right. So have a good night, you guys.
Hold on. You got a few comments.
Okay.
We're going to end this, but you got a few comments.
Okay.
Tanya wrote, yes.
Yes.
Melanie wrote, how about you never secured your post because of that raggedy flesh? So bad.
No.
Okay. Corey wrote, that's the laugh out loud boy in him.
Yep.
Oh, that's the little boy in him.
She can't read, y'all. That determines a man from a boy. Because if you chose whoever chose to exit, however it ended, then end it and be like, I'm done. But don't end it and try to beat my temple down. Don't end it and try to be his temple down. Because at the end of the day, what that does is that does anything. What that means is you're bitter. That's a big sign of bitterness. And bitterness can do some damage. And so it's important to make sure you don't choose to do that. All right. So with that being said, we're going to go to After Dark. Come back on. You know, it'll be pretty quick with After Dark. So come back on and we'll do After Dark. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for tuning in.